सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So we're looking at the relative growth, for which it's very important that we recognize Ishvara's presence. We understand, the more we understand Ishvara, the less there is of I. The less Ishvara, the more ego. Because you claim credits which don't belong to you. Any sense of self-worth which really doesn't belong to you, which we claim, will at some point hurt, because that will go, that will slip from under your feet. So it is better to be, grounded in reality. And the reality is, everything outside and inside is given. I am not the author of the world. I am not the author of this body. I am not the author of this mind. I am not the author of the laws that govern the world and this body, mind and senses. What am I? It's like I'm given a few things to play, and I can make what I can with them. This is how the setup is. So in that we saw that karma. What does karma mean? A will-based action. An action where your will, you can choose to do, not to do differently. That is the definition of karma. Kartritantram karma. That which depends on the will, on the desire of the doer. That is called karma. What is jnanam? What is knowledge? That which depends on whatever you want to know. Knowledge is vastu tantram. That which depends on whatever you want to know. You want to know this flower? Then knowledge will be in keeping with the flower, not in keeping with what you want it to be. I wish this was a real rose, not an artificial one. It won't become one. But I don't want this rose here, I want it here. Kartritantram. So whenever there is karma, means you have a choice to do, to not do. So it's important you have the right basis to make a choice. What should you do? What should you not do? Modern philosophy is, you do whatever you like to do. Freedom is, you do what you like to do. I like to chill out. Modern language, chill out somewhere with friends, hang out, chill out. What time do you eat? What time? Doesn't make a difference. Whatever you feel like, you do. If you had an option, you would take a job with the maximum money with minimum work. That's the dream job. So everything is what you like to do. Who do you talk to? Those I like. What do you eat? What I like. How do you dress? With what you like. How do you keep your hairstyle? The way I like. This means that you believe your likes and dislikes are the basis for choice. And unfortunately, unless the likes and dislikes are well informed, they are not the right basis for choice. Because your like is based on your knowledge. A child of 3 years is asked, "What will you eat for breakfast?" What will the child choose? It will look. That looks interesting, colorful. I'll eat that. That's not the basis. What will the parent want the child to eat? They eat something which is nourishing. Nowadays, what do childs want? Lays. I want Lays, Frito Lays, They have learned that well. They want junk food. They don't want to eat. It's not, and junk food is deliberately made in a way that it will addict you. So, cigarette manufacturers have been known to add a dash of something which will keep you addicted. And if the food itself doesn't addict, you add something else. So you add some little toy, and then you make it a collection. You eat one Big Mac, you will get one of them. You eat a second one, you will get the second one. Now what should you do? And if you get the whole collection, then you have something. This is all the ways the market makes you go. The value is not for my welfare, the value is for the bottom line of the company. And your likes and dislikes are managed by the media. Now, earlier there was no media. Now it's all managed by mass media. So what you think is nice is determined how often you hear it's nice, it's nice, it's nice, it's nice. When you hear too often, you start believing it. So we say likes and dislikes do not form the basis for your choice. Then what forms the basis for choice? Dharma. The right values. These have to form the basis for my choice. So whenever you make a choice, I'm not saying this to point a problem or to make your life difficult, but I'm saying whenever you make a choice, simple thing as saying, what do I like to eat? And how much will I eat? Depends on what? In the Gurukulam, you can see it very nicely. If there is some khichdi every day, or upma or poha, some people don't like poha. So they will say, what is there? Poha. They will walk the other way. You tell them there is idli vada, then direction will change. So what determines whether what you eat or not? It's purely what is there. Right? What is, Swamiji say, if you go to a hotel, what is our culture? What is Indian culture? Thali. You get a plate which has whatever you're supposed to have. What is modern way? A la carte. So you order what you like. You have to start with an appetizer. Right? And then you have to order a main course. Then you have to have a dessert. This is all some things. It's done. But all I'm saying is that the basis? What is the purpose of eating? I should like it. It should make me happy. That is not the idea. Though it's good to have food which is pleasing in look, pleasing in taste. It's good. But primarily food is for what? To keep the body and the mind going. Not just the body. So, body becomes strong, you eat. We don't necessarily go with that. We say, sattvic food is good for the buddhi. Rajasic food will excite your buddhi. So somebody will say, Swamiji, garlic is very good. It will manage blood pressure. Correct. But we say it excites the mind. So we say if you are interested in a calm mind, you stay away from it. Nothing against garlic. It depends on what you want. So I'm saying even there you will find sattvika ahara, rasyaha, snigdhaha, sthiraha, those which are, not dry, have more liquid in it, have some grease in it. Not excessive grease, some grease. Sthiraha, those which are stable, which are fresh. These are sattvika. Something very spicy, very salty, any excessive taste are all what? Rajasika. What is tamasika? Yatayamam. You cooked it yesterday. You know, freezer to microwave, perfect example. Yatayamam. Not yama is only some, 4 hours. Now it is not yama. It is only you look for is expiry date. That is also if you are lucky. Otherwise you will say anywhere in the freezer what will happen in expiry, you can eat it still. So we don't know what we are eating, but what you eat determines how you think to some extent. It has a bearing. So I'm saying in everything you can have an alert mind. What should you eat? What should you drink? What should you read? You can read, but you can read junk. You can watch TV and watch junk. So we were talking about the mind, two things. One about the mind being free from compulsive likes and dislikes, which we call raga, dvesha. That I said is the mala. Second part I was addressing is what? The mind tends to move. It doesn't do what you want it to do. That is called vikshepa. Vikshepa means it's dispersed. It doesn't stay. With that context, I'm saying, people think you just meditate, you get that. But to meditate, if you look in 6th chapter of the Gita, you will find more of the chapter is about the meditator. It is not about meditation. Your whole life determines whether you can meditate or not. Suppose, nowadays modern life is such that you have a thinking job. Like a software programming. You have to write programs. Suppose you had a bank teller's job earlier, or a job where you go to supermarket and you help there and you come back. You do a cashier's job, you come back. Once you come back, that job is no longer with you. Now you come back home and still the job is in your head. Right? As it is, you work long hours. Because they make it interesting to work long hours. How do they make it interesting? They will give you dinner. If you, No, whatever food. You go to Infosys, it's not wrong. But all I'm saying is, what do they give you? A campus. Now you have a campus. And what all do you have in the campus? Everything you want, you will have on the campus. You will have a gym, you will have a golf course, you will have a swimming pool, you will have basketball, and you will have a food court. You have everything in place. And you are a young fellow. And your goal in life is what? Purushartha nishchaya. Connect back. What is your only goal? Artha. Artha or kama. You have no other goal in life. So how do you maximize it? You have to work long hours. You have to compete over others. You have to get a head start. How do you do it? You work harder. Therefore, how do you work harder? You reduce your leisure time. That's the down payment you have to make for a, good result later. You keep making down payments all your life. You do that. Then what do you do now? You say, to work hard, what do you need? If you go home, it's a problem. See, if you are in Bangalore, either you leave Infosys office at 3:30 or 3 and you reach home in 1 hour or so, or you leave anytime after 5 and take 3 hours to get home. Or you leave at 10 and again get home in 1 hour. So what do you do now? You make a choice. You stay till 10. What will you do then? Work more. Now you go back home. What's your state of mind? You're tired. You want to sleep. But even sleeping, you're thinking of the problems. And when you wake up, first thought will be what? That problem in your software. It will come back to you. And now you start with that. What will you pray on? What will you meditate on? Your meditation is on that. And if you are not directly doing programming, you have so many problems. Personal issues are there. No? There are some other issues in the workplace. How to reorganize the team. what to do. You're thinking. And the morning is a beautiful time. Morning is the best time for a lot of things because mind is fresh. You can go jogging. Exercise is a good time. Prayer, it's a good time. Yoga, it's a good time. It's also a good time to do anything useful. So what do you do now? Start answering emails early morning. Right? What choice have you made? You have made a choice to start your day with samsara. It's a lifestyle. Now after that you will say, I'm going to sit for 10 minutes for meditation. Japa. What japa will you do? Your mind is definitely going to go that way. Because your whole day you're thinking of that. And now for 10 minutes you can't. You need to create the environment for it. It's not just 10 minutes. So if you notice, our meditations don't have that much time. If you give me a choice, I'll have 1 hour meditation. 40 minutes is not good enough. It's better that way. So what should you do? We always start by saying, first is a lifestyle. You live a life free from conflict. Try. Try to live a life based on values which are not going to cause a conflict which will make your mind go again and again to that. If you didn't do what you should do, your mind will go back to it. And it will say, I didn't do it, or I should have done it. This takes a lot of our time. If you don't want that, we have to think. Right? And even though you think and start, the old past, there are a lot of conflicts. What all I should have done and I didn't do. How I wasted my time. How I hurt somebody or how somebody hurt me. Hurt and guilt form the core personality of the person. So now, this is how your life has been. You had an abusive partner. What can you do? Life has been such. You stayed with the family because you have children. And those children, you don't want them to be deprived of a mother or a father. So you stay with them. But you suffered all the way through. And now you're 50 years old. What do? All the hurts will come back to you. When you have a quiet moment, they all clamor for attention. Therefore, first thing we do when we sit for meditation is we understand there's a lot of junk around. So first we say, let them all be. You resolve. It's very important. People think, why spend time on all this? I will straight away do some, meditation. No. You let the world be. It's a very important part. Granting freedom to the world is a very important part of meditation. You do that. And to do that, to be able to grant freedom, you need to have an understanding of Ishvara as the order, as what is okay. That it's all right. The way you feel is legitimate. Your feeling of being hurt is legitimate. That somebody hurt you also is legitimate. But you see that that person hurt because of his background. So you're able to let him go. Right? And you're able to see that your hurt is okay. Once you act on something, you're able to drop the problem to some extent. You drop it. Now your mind is relatively freed from the world. But the mind can still go here and there. Now you give it an occupation. What's the occupation? First occupation, watch the body. So far as you're being objective, it's okay. If you start dwelling on this part of the body is messed up, then you will meditate on that. Therefore we say be objective. Now when you brought to the body, naturally your mind is drawn from the world. I don't have to say don't think of the world. This method wasn't work, okay? So somebody came to Swamiji and says, Swamiji, I want to do meditation. Give me mantra, give me mantra. It doesn't deserve a mantra, okay? But he doesn't leave you. Keeps pulling at your, bothering you. Then what does Swamiji say? Okay, you want a mantra? Here's the mantra. Any instructions? Yes, one instruction. What's the instruction? Whenever you want to meditate on the mantra, don't think of a monkey. Don't think of a monkey. Now what happens? As soon as you sit to meditate, first you have to remember the instruction. What's the instruction? Don't think of a monkey. What comes first? Monkey. Monkey alone comes. So if you tell somebody, don't think of the world, what will come first? World. What is the way to make you not think of the world? allow it to be. Allow it to be. So it won't come to bother you. First. Number two, you say, now look at your body. Beauty about the mind is it can only do one thing at a time. If you are able to stay, mind can have only one thing at a time. So what do you do now? You give it a job. What's the job? Watch the body. Objectively. Therefore, the body, hopefully, is not a source. That's why I said it should not be a source of complexes. Then you're just watching the body. The mind is already withdrawn from the world. Body is gross. Now you go to a subtler aspect. Now you watch the sense of touch. What happens? Watching the sense of touch is different from watching a limb. It's much more subtler. You watch the sound, hearing. You can't watch taste. You can't watch smell. So leave those out, okay? You do this. The mind has come closer and closer to you. For some people, this much alone is meditation. Watch your breath. Watching your breath is considered to be a great method to calm your mind. In fact, you're getting angry, you're getting upset, you watch your breath. It'll work. And Ramana Maharshi presents this very clearly as two ways to make the mind, not go here and there. What is that? One is pranavikshanam and one is watching the mind. Both are there. But he emphasizes prana a lot compared to, and for him, he says, first you just do pranavikshanam. Means you just watch your breath. If that doesn't work, then he will talk of pranayama, controlling the breath. And there somebody else will say, pranayama is that rechaka kumbhaka, that can also be talked of in terms of mind. You get rid of some thoughts, you keep some thoughts, etc. But so in Ramana's worldview, he says there are two ways. You bring your mind to be relaxed, either using pranayama or by directly dealing with the mind. So, there is shakhayor shakti mula. Basically, two things are there. But Pujya Swamiji's method is he normally doesn't go much with pranayama. He will say, watch your breath for a bit as a step. In interest of time, I have not asked you to watch your breath, but you can do that. Right? But the difference even Ramana Maharshi recognizes is prana bandhanat lina manasam ekachintanat nashametyadha. Prana bandhanat lina manasam. The mind becomes lean, thin, becomes resolved, okay, literally resolved. But it's not dead. The mind is only temporarily resolved when you're managing your breath. Once you let go, in a short time, your mind will be back to all its antics. Then how do you make, see, when the fellow is down, so suppose there's a wild animal they want to catch. What do? They tranquilize it. And after tranquilizing, before it wakes up, they, put it in a cage or whatever they want to do. Same way, Lina Manasam, the mind which has been calmed by pranayama, Eka Chintanat Nashametyadha. Eka Chintanam. Eka Chintanam is for Brahmana only Atma Chintanam. You have to now get to the absolute truth. And through that, the mind would not allow you to focus on that. So for that you use pranayama to get the mind, net it for a while. Jalapakshivat, Rodha Sadhanam, he calls prana. Means like a person would throw a net to catch the birds. You use the prana to catch hold of it, stay for a while. And when it is caught, at that time, you use that calm mind to do chintanam, contemplation. And through that, you kill the mind. Nashameti. Means the mind no longer the problem. That's the technique. Here what we do is, see, because the idea there is, Ramana is not necessarily talking about accepting, etc. He assumes, probably, very likely, because see, each teacher will teach you what they saw in their life to be true. In Ramana's life, he probably never had a problem of ragadvesha. He is comfortable as he is. He could have near-death experience before doing anything. You try doing it. It's not that easy. So for him, it's so easy. And therefore, he cannot appreciate what your problem is, really. So he will say what? You don't need anything else. You look at his selection of Bhagavad Gita verses, not one verse on Karma Yoga. Not one. He gives 30 verses for children. Every one of them is Jnanam. He will start with Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. First verse, I think. So if you go to a person who has no difficulty with being prepared, he will not tell you how to be prepared, generally. So when people talk, I'm dwelling on this because there are some people who are Ramana devotees, and you should know what's the difference, okay? That Ramana will say, he's asked, hey, will inquiry, this Vedanta study, etc., is that the means, is that necessary for freedom? He says, no. It's not enough. You have to do upasana. You have to stay with yourself. What he is trying to say is this. Any amount of inquiry, just inquiry, doesn't make you free. Finally, what makes you free is only your understanding that I am non-separate from the whole. And that understanding alone is freedom. How many Upanishads you tick mark is not freedom. How well you can expound on it is not freedom. What is freedom is you know you're free. That's the only freedom. So Ramana is spot on there, no question about it. But the people who follow him will say now, therefore don't study Upanishad. You don't need to study. All you have to do is, who am I? Swamiji used to say, suppose an idiot sits who doesn't know anything and asks, who am I? What will the answer come? Idiot. Because that's what you are. Sitting and just asking, suppose you sit and ask, what's a black hole? What's a black hole? Will you know what's a black hole? You won't know. But this is about myself. So you would know. But you are asking about a self you know or don't know. So we say that someone has to point out. It may take only 1 second for someone to grasp it. It may take 10 years because how long it takes to understand something is completely variable. You can't say two people understand the same thing in the same time. And that every teacher who has taught anything, anybody would know. And maths is a beautiful example for that. You teach something, 10 kids you teach. Will all kids get the same time? Never. Never. And what is simple addition, subtraction, multiplication? It takes a while to understand. Once it's understood, it's fine. But till it's understood, it's shaky. And you tell me, how many classes should it take for the child to understand? You can't say. What made the child understand? One child understand quickly? You can't say. What made another child never understand? You can't say. Same way, this Atma Jnanam is also like math. It's an equation. And for understanding of the equation, it's understanding that counts. Everything else becomes helpful to the understanding. I'm talking of now absolute growth in that sense. How relative growth contributes to absolute growth. Therefore, we want a mind which is staying with one thing for a length of time. That's where we started. So I'm saying prana bandhanam is one way. But finally, what we say is you deal with the problem by directly taking away the capacity of the mind to be disturbed by accepting what is. When you are able to see and accept what is, the mind naturally is not disturbed in the face of disturbance, potential disturbance. So you are not trying to distract yourself. You are not trying to turn your attention elsewhere. So when you turn to prana, what happens? For some time your disturbance goes away. When the prana is back, then your disturbance will come back. But suppose you are able to diffuse the distraction directly. This is the approach that we say you understand the ways of your mind. You understand the world and you understand everything is thane, in its own place. Nothing is out of place. That won't disturb you then. Having done that, now you are at a point where you are not disturbed by anything and you're not thinking of anything either. That's what we say is the basic person. Just you are, and you are free to do anything you want. You should be free. If you are already thinking of some problem, then I say you think of Rama Mantra, you won't think, you will go in that only. So first we arrive at a person who is nothing to do. And then you say, now you choose one thing, one mantra, one thought, and you think it again and again and again. Since you have chosen one thought, if your mind moves away, you know it moved away. You bring it back. This will help to make sure you can choose your thoughts. It's a very, very big, achievement if one can do that. In Gita, Bhagavan will say, Yajnanam japa yajñosmi. He doesn't talk of some dravya yajna. He says, Yajnanam japa yajñosmi. Japa is the biggest yajna and best. In the sense it's exalted. So, in our culture, a child is initiated to Gayatri Mantra when it's 5 years old. So it should have this Manas Japa from that age. But nowadays, Gayatri Mantra also, how to chant, people don't teach. And Japa is not taught. You just repeat. Repeating is not important. Repeating the same thought with that interval is important. See what happens, right? You are deliberately thinking a thought. Be it Om Namah Shivaya. In fact, they have done some research on, don't have a meaningful thought, even a meaningless word you repeat. Even that, they use it for normal health benefits. Your mind is calmer, your EEG is different, your blood pressure goes down. Why? Because you are not thinking of anything that makes you tense. You are thinking of something meaningless, which can't make you tense. But we say you take a prayer, a meaningful prayer, and now that has an additional component of bringing you grace as well. So do that. That is Manasa Japa. Now what has happened? Your mind was relatively calm. Now you gave it one job. And when you drop that job, hopefully your mind is just quiet. Because you had only one job and you dropped it. That's the time in which we bring the teaching of the absolute truth, once we learn it, and we bring that to the mind, and it's a fertile point where it starts to stick. So this is the routine that we follow, wherein we do all this. And now how does it fit with the daily routine as such? If somebody is doing a prayer, a puja, then we say you do that first. So that from the whole world being your thoughts area, you first are bringing it to all related things. You're restricting the scope of the mind from everything to an area which is relating to Ishvara. And from there, you go into a smaller frame. You're saying a few names, understanding the meaning. From there, you come to this point of japa, where it is just one thought. And from there, you drop it and you understand what is it to be a choice-free you. That's the sequence. So, till when should you have to grow the mind? So Krishna says very clearly, until you have no relative impact of sukha dukkha, you are able to accept situations more or less as they come to you. And not just that, he says, anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sasanyasi cha yogi cha na niragnihi na chakriyaha. 6th chapter, 1st verse. What does that mean? When we live life, we have things to do. As I said, we have a slot in life. Wherever you are, you have a slot. There's something you are supposed to do. Some expectations of you in a society that you live in. You live as a contributor in the society. In some way you contribute. And when you contribute to do something, what will I get for doing that? That demand is dropped. Anashritaha karma phalam. Without depending, without being tied up with saying, this must come from my doing this. Without that demand, you do what is to be done. You do what is to be done. And you, whatever the outcome, if you want to modify it, you do again. But you are not doing it for the sake of an outcome. This is what I told you. Karma yoga is about doing not for the sake of the outcome. Outcome is necessary, you want it. But your focus is not on the outcome. Your focus is whether you are able to handle the outcome. Whether you can accept. Outcome in any situation is an outcome. Can you accept a situation if you can't examine why? Means you say that situation is unacceptable. Then you remember Namaha. You remember Ishvara. And you say everything is in order. Why can't you accept the situation? Which means you have a different take. You think that it should be different. It can be different. Understand, if what is cannot be different. If you want it to be different, you are free to try. You are free to work on it again. But drop that resistance as to why it is the way it is. That's freedom. To be able to take each moment as it comes and keep responding to it as you like. You're free to respond. Nobody says you can't do something about it. You think you can change it? Change it. Go ahead. But situation again doesn't meet what you want. Do again. Tirelessly keep doing. You will still be free. No stress. No stress. Because you're not saying it should be like this. Whatever comes, you're saying is okay. But okay means what? It doesn't mean it's over, you don't have to do anything. But it's okay in the sense you don't resist it. And you're happy to say, I want it differently. It's my wish. I will do something for it. Do it. If you are at that point where you no longer are bothered by the situation, you are already relatively free. Because you can take life as it comes. It doesn't bother you so much. But still, you are not free totally. You still have your, dukkha, your sorrow, your feeling of want is all there. That has to be addressed only by the knowledge of the Absolute. That really I am not a wanting person at all. I happen to be that limitless consciousness, that limitless whole, and not knowing that is my problem. But you're very objective right now, accepting everything. Therefore, your mind is free to go into it. And that is the person who Krishna will say is eligible for sannyasa. To let go all karma. And in today's world, when we don't do any Vaidika karma, that sannyasa has lost its real purport. Because you don't do any daily karma, you don't do, then what will you give up? Before itself you are not doing. What will you give up now? There is nothing to be given up. Then what does it become? It can become a license for other things. It's not today. Shankara said it long ago, that this dress becomes a means for filling up one's stomach, becomes a mean for demanding respect. Comes in different phase. Jatilo mundi. Jatilo mundi lunchita keshaha. Kashayambara bahukrita veshaha. Pashyannapichana pashyati moodaha. Udara nimittam bahukrita veshaha. Udara nimittam means for the sake of the stomach. What does he do? One fellow is Jatilaha. You go to the Bandara, you will see. There will be people who are Jatadharis, matted hair, long matted hair. And they can have very long hair. If you see, you will be surprised how long it can be. Not that everybody's matted hair is wrong. But somebody uses matted hair to claim some credit, to claim some privilege in society. Another fellow does what? Mundi. He shaves off all the hair. Okay? Third fellow is what? Lunchita keshaha. He plucks each hair out. You should know different sampradayas do different things, okay? Buddha, Jaina, all these are being covered. Jatilo mundi lunchita kesha. Another fellow is what? Kashayambara. You wear a cloth of a particular color. Kashaya. Not necessarily orange. It's more of a dirt color, Kashayambara bahukrita vesha. For what? So that I can come and get food without having to work. And sometimes it's also, now I'm saying, it's also for claiming certain privileges. You claim respect. You claim something else. That is not the purpose of sannyasa. The purpose of sannyasa is, sannyasa means I have no interest in anything in the world. I have no interest in accomplishing anything in the world. I am a non-competitor. I don't want to compete with anything. In fact, sannyasa ritual involves saying, "O trees, O animals, O beings, you can all relax now. I give you the freedom. I will not compete with you. You don't have no reason to fear from me." Plants, you're telling, which means you will not cut a plant. No? You don't pluck a leaf just like that for fun. You leave it. You leave everything as it is to the extent possible. Ahimsa. Then, what is your purpose of life? You have only one purpose. I don't care for situations. Now my whole life is dedicated. I have got enough inner growth, relative growth, that now I am only interested in the absolute growth. I am only interested in the ultimate, the limitless, discovering the limitless. Therefore, I am not interested in anything. So I will not take anything from society, and I am not going to contribute anything to society. And honoring this person's love to know the truth, the society gives him food. This is what sannyasa is supposed to be. Gives him food, gives him enough to live, nothing more. He cannot demand, I want this, I want that. Therefore you will hear, in the sadhana panchakam, you will see, what should one eat? Bhikshaushadam bhujyatam. Swadvannam natu yachyatam. Don't pray, I like this food, I like that food. Means make that. No, don't pray for it. Swadvannam natu yachyatam vidhivashat praptena santushyatam. Whatever food comes to you on its own, be satisfied with that. No, don't demand. So the value is for what? Situation I am not going to try to change. My only focus is knowing myself. How are you going to know yourself? Now karma has served its purpose. Life of karma has served its purpose. Your actions have served the purpose in making you grow to a person who is relatively free, who doesn't get affected by the situation so much. And this person has to now understand the reality. What is the means to understand reality? Is a means of knowledge. What is the means of knowledge? This Shabda, Veda. But Veda not by reading, but be taught by someone who understands, because what is being taught is not the meaning of any word. Therefore, teacher becomes important. And you read, you understand, but there are doubts. You understand what Shastra is saying, you have doubts. Then you have to clear those doubts. Your doubts are also gone, but you have a orientation issue, which is very hard to get rid of. The orientations are very well rooted. Then you have to reorient yourself, repeatedly reorient yourself. So life becomes one of understanding, clearing doubts, and reorienting yourself, which is called Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam. So should I wait till I become fully free from situational dependencies and then come to this? It doesn't work that way. No, easily. Now it doesn't work that way so much. Earlier it was like that, because some guru is sitting in some forest, some place. Shankara went all the way from Kerala to Madhya Pradesh. And when you go that distance walking, you forget everything and go. You don't know whether you'll come back or not. You just walk. It's a one-way journey. You burn your bridges and go. And therefore, you can't go unless you have that immense value for just that. But now what's happened? Now we neither live in a forest. No, you have nice bandara food every day. No, you can go enjoy the food and also enjoy class and enjoy AC room also. It's a very different setup. But still, the knowledge has to take place in some way or the other. So what we do, how we live, you can have money in your bank balance, but it should not enter your head. Money should be there, shouldn't enter your head. Achievements can be there, but doesn't enter your head. They are all seen as given by Ishvara. You are humble enough to recognize you have received a lot of good things. And your focus, your goal is only this one. That's what I meant by saying, one goal. You recognize it's the only goal in life. But all other things should subserve it. Everything else should align with it. If it aligns, you're okay. Because prarabdha, determines how you live. Somebody may have prarabdha to live in Uttarkashi. Somebody has a prarabdha to live in an ashram. Somebody has a prarabdha to live in a cave. That depends on each person's life. But if that commitment to learn is there, then they can learn where they are, in whatever station of life they are. Many of you are at home. Doesn't make a difference. You are at home, but your mind is what counts. What is your real interest? Being at home is just a situation. And we already did what? You are free from situational dependencies. Now all that matters is a cognitive shift to understand what's reality. Okay? We'll come back to that. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Dear campus, don't leave. I have received from the office to distribute.
Oh, thank you. I always think I have nothing to leave here.